Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another amazing young man. His name is Doyen Williams. And before we get started, I just want to say something. This is the reason why I am so attracted to young people in our region. This is an example of of using what you have from where you are. I got a message a few moments ago from Doyen. Power is out in my neighborhood. I can't find somewhere else. I'm going to look for somewhere else. We tried to shift the schedule. Couldn't happen. This young brother is in his car on his iPhone. This is what I talk about. Doing what you can from where you are. Excuse is not an option. Doyen, good afternoon and welcome to CWS as it is.
Good afternoon, Selwyn. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you. Tell
Good.
us a bit about you and some of the hats you wear before we get into the. Let me get it straight. How you pronounce? Is it Dadrum data or Daydrum data?
It's that drum data.
Dadrum. Okay,
Correct.
good. Thank you. Before we
No
get into
problem.
Dadrum Data Limited, tell us a little bit about some of the hats you wear.
Well, okay. And there are a few. Over the years, I've been a strategic consultant to many groups here in Jamaica. Of note, I've been a strategic consultant and business development officer to the Jamaica Design Association. I no longer serve in that office, but I'm still an active member there. I've also served with the Jamaica Animation Nation Network, which is what has propelled me into my most recent role as a local coordinator for the Korean Trust Fund for the World Bank of Latin America. So that's what my most current hat is. Then I serve as the managing director of that Drum Data, which is my own company, and I also serve as an experience engineer for Technique Designs Limited, a technology-based company in Jamaica.
So you are a well sought after person.
I don't know if I would say well sought after more than I think about a lot of things and I try to make money from the things that I think of
I
as much
like
as
that.
possible.
I like that. Hence the entrepreneur spirit. Talking about you like to think about lots of other things. How did you transition into entrepreneurship, into your own business, running your own business per se?
Well, that's an interesting journey because that journey actually started at the University of West Indies. By the time I was in my second year at school, um, the lecturers had noticed me and thought that I was talented, and so they had brought me onto a few projects, and I began to see the benefits of research and social research, and just how the changing decisions into data-driven decision making would help. From there, I got drafted into a competitiveness firm called the Competitiveness Company. It was the first of its kind in Jamaica. And after that, I decided the best thing to do was to strike out on my own. I realized that I had a passion for creating solutions, especially data-driven solutions. And while I was under the employ of someone else, not all of my solutions would work within their framework for business. So one of the best things I could do in order to satisfy my own passion was to be able to put myself in a position where I could create the framework for all of my solutions to be able to be best executed. That led me to entrepreneurship. That led me to that drum.
And how you came up with this name? let me just say this, and some of my Guyanese my Guyanese fellas might get me for this one, but when I saw the name, the first thing I thought of was dad and rum.
Well, what I will tell you is there there was copious amounts of rum involved in the creation of the name. What happened is that the company is formed with two of my very, very good friends, Coyote Smith and Courtney Badal. And the group of us used to sit on a drum and drink rum. Um,
The drum Data
And
limited.
so, right.
I like
And
that.
so,
What is most gratifying working with friends?
well, apart from the just the joy of having somebody that you can actually argue with, but know that at the end of that argument, it won't turn into someone that you can now call an enemy. That in and of itself, and being able to treasure that kind of really on the more pleasurable, all smiley thing, is when you have a group of people who share the same vision for themselves,
Yes.
for their family, for their
Yes.
country, and you're able to collaborate with those people as closely as possible around one single project. That kind of satisfaction cannot be denied.
You mentioned something earlier that piqued my interest about social. What is it? Social data-driven.
Data-driven decision making.
Right. But I want to slip something in here because I believe that many non-Caribbeans view the Caribbean through the lens of or view the Caribbean as a place of respite, a place with white sand and blue waters, and picking up shells on the beach and getting a nice coconut and well, don't forget the rum and
Right.
so on. But the Caribbean is much more than that. The Caribbean has always been an incubator for great minds and producing great thinkers and so on and so forth. What do you, in your experience, want to add to that narrative?
Well, one of the things that me personally, what I want to add is the idea of creating solutions. One of the things that I've grown up around in Jamaica is we are very good at identifying problems and identifying what is wrong. But there are very few of us that are able to move from, okay, this very clear definition of what is wrong, to how do we fix it? And then even fewer of us that can move from that into, I am going to fix it. And what I would like to bring to the table personally, the legacy that I would want to leave behind is that I was one of those people. I was one of the people that didn't just sit back and say, this is a problem, but I not only identified a solution, I went ahead and did it as well.
So it's not just only about knowing what to do, because let's get past the identification process. You know, we're in a different era now. We have that paradigm has shifted.
Exactly.
It's not just knowing what to do, but having the will and the commitment and the desire to do it.
To do it, to get it done.
I got you, brother. Describe the drum data limited for us. What is it exactly this company provides?
Okay, great. One of the things, our central offering is a research partner. So wherever there's social research, that is economics, politics, social indifference, voting, etc. Wherever there's any kind of social research, that drum offers itself as a partner to both public and private institutions. And because of our skill set, we're able to offer expertise along each step of that research process. So whether or not you're talking about ideation, which is just coming up with and clearly defining the problem that needs to be solved, or you're talking about data collection, or you've gone past that collection process and moving into data analysis and into data storage, organization, and reporting, that drum, because of our expertise and because of our spread of expertise, is able to come in at any point in your project and move it to the next level. We've done things with parenting, we've done things with just social interactions between people, we've done things even as far as user interaction on applications. And throughout every single project, one of the things we find is what it really comes down to is when somebody has money to invest, time to invest, what they want is the assurance that the decision they're making is backed by some kind of empirical data that an expert has looked at. And that is what that drum provides.
So
that bridge between.
If I may use this drum as a metaphor and talk about rims around this drum. Which of these rims are your favorite, or is your favorite?
for for me personally, I am an analytical mind, and that goes towards the solution. So yes, you've identified the problem, but give me the data
Yes.
and let me begin to pull out of that data what could be a possible reason and therefore something for me to solve, or what's going to become the basis of my solution. That's where I thrive.
Give us an example without violating any confidentiality agreement or contracts or so on. But give us an example of a time when you just couldn't you just had your teeth clenched and your fist folded tightly because you're so excited about the data that you're analyzing.
Well, the unfortunate thing about that is the one example that comes to mind. I haven't been able to implement the solution for us yet. But,
Ah, so as they say,
the
big things are come.
it's coming. It's coming.
You think I can make it? You think I can walk around in Kingston with that accent I tried here just now? You think I can make it, man?
But what we had a project once where we looked at and I'm going to try to not give away too much detail.
Right.
But we looked at a particular government institution that's in charge of one of the nation's richest assets, and the government was thinking that the framework that was currently in place was not exactly beneficial to the nation. And we looked at it, and we looked very closely at it. And one of the things we realized is when your richest asset is the people, but the framework that you have in place to nurture them is really set up to institutionalize them instead, then you're gonna have a problem.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Back up, bro. You're not just gonna say this and just run past it. When your greatest asset, when your greatest asset is people, and the framework that you have is only set up to institutionalize them. Continue from there.
Then, well, I still can't give too much detail.
All right, brother. But you know what? It's okay. We got.
I can't give it away too much.
All right, do it.
But when that is the case, what you find is that you end up producing people who don't move your nation forward, and who end up in many ways and in many and at a high rate being a burden to the society rather than uplifting the society and causing progress.
We gotta watch you, Doyen. We gotta watch this young revolutionary that is um, brewing on this drum. Um, what are your immediate plans for your company?
Immediate plans for the company, well, this is one of the things that I'm pretty excited about, because one of the things that we're looking at doing is expanding the company in a very real way into offering training, and the training that we're looking at, one of the first classes that we're looking at actually doing in a very, very real way is based on logic and teaching logic. So as strange as it sounds, a bunch of young guys want to teach younger people how to think.
Really?
Yeah. And we're going to be pouring a lot of our energy into getting classes where people want to come to learn how to think.
So let me ask you this: How do you see that affecting the environment, affecting the community, affecting Jamaica? If you have a cadre or a population of young people excited about thinking and thinking properly.
And our hope is once we begin to develop that cadre of young people, what you'll begin to find is less people who stop at focusing on identifying a problem, and more people who are willing and now ready and equipped to finding solutions and implementing those solutions. And we think only then will we really begin to see Jamaica blossom and flower into the nation that it should be. And hopefully that will infect the rest of the Caribbean. But I don't want to give away too much of our big plans.
Where do you see that drum data limited in 10 years?
In 10 years, the idea is to have fulfilled our vision of becoming that bridge between people who have the money to implement solutions, have the resources to implement solutions, and the people who are actually on the ground to implement solutions. So to be that bridge that empowers the people who have the power to make decisions on behalf of the people who are affected by those decisions.
So right now, this drum is rolling uphill.
Yeah, man.
What describe the euphoria as this drum starts to roll down the hill with all its acquisitions and all its successes?
I think my most gratifying moment will come when one of the students from that class is in a position of decision making, and when they make that decision that is data driven, they can look back at us and say, thank you for the lesson in logic,
yes,
in reason, and this decision comes from you. I think that will be my icing on my cake.
You believe that some of the best ways of staying on top of your game are practice, having fun, and giving back. Describe how you were able to achieve this and adhere to these principles.
Go again, Selvin. I think I missed something.
You missed something. Okay. You believe that some of the best ways of staying on top of your game are practice,
right,
having fun, and giving back.
Right.
Describe how you were able to achieve this.
For me, I started by giving back. A bit of my backstory about how my lecturers and teachers first took notice of me was because I was always helping other students. And then they realized, oh, well, he likes helping people. And a big part of who I am is about being able to change the environment. So I genuinely believe that in every situation, there are really only two things that you need to consider. It's either you're going to change your environment or you're going to change yourself. Or maybe you have to do both, change yourself and the environment. So for me, what it boils down to is when I practice, it's about practicing the way I think about things, practicing how I implement my perspectives, practicing even research by helping out students who are still in college. I help a lot of people actually, students, lecturers, etc. And I put myself out there to be used by friends and by colleagues. And that in and of itself is fun because developing those relationships and beginning to see other people get the gist of thinking based on truly thinking based on data and not just on emotion, but being able to mix the two and find that balance. That's what creates enjoyment in my practice for me. I hope I answered that properly and not too roundabout.
What happens, or which wins, when these two strands of thinking, the emotions and the data, come to a crossroad or they intersect? Which one, for you, Doyen, which one grabs your attention more? Which one you lean more towards? Data or emotion?
I have a natural inclination towards data. I will be honest, but my thing is always tell people to strive for that balance. Your gut, the idea of a gut feeling is very, very real. But instead of simply going purely on your gut feeling, see if there is any data that backs up your gut feeling. Try to always strike that balance. Don't just go off based on instinct, or don't just stick hard and fast to the empiricism of data. Always try for that balance.
When did this fascination with data occur for you?
I would say I fell in love with numbers when I realized that numbers weren't always numbers.
They weren't what?
That sounds very strange.
They weren't always numbers. Is that what you just said?
During my first year at university, one of my lecturers pointed out that the symbol that we see and that we recognize as a number isn't necessarily always identifying a quantity. Sometimes it's just a categorical kind of differentiation. Sometimes it's something else. It's not always a quantity. And I think at that point when I realized that really and truly a number is simply a symbol and it's some kind of a code representing something else.
Am I to understand that your emotion then are not driven by the symbol you see or by this number? You go a little further before you allow your emotions to get all caught up and you interrogate the number.
If I'm hearing you right, I'm agreeing with you.
Yes, you interrogate the number. So okay, you have to come back on CWS journeys.
Right.
We need to peel back some of these layers and dig a little deeper, young brother. I mean, half an hour is just no. I'll call some words: accuracy, precision, reliability, strength, flexibility, and value. They make up the philosophy of your company.
Right.
Why are they so important to you?
If you take a good look at them, you'll notice that even within those 6 pillars of our philosophy,
yes,
we try to strike the balance between empiricism and emotionality as well. So you look at things like flexibility and value and strength. Those are generally subjective terms. We speak to the emotion and bonding to it. But then you also look at things like reliability and accuracy and precision. And those are our directly statistical, empirical terms. And so those 6 pillars actually speak about all 3 of us, myself, Coyotes, Courtney's, all 3 of us attempt at always balancing our lives, always balancing our passions, always balancing our drive. So that it's not just, we're not just going off doing what we think, but that we've tested what we thought was the best solution, and we're going after it. And so in disseminating that or in trying to distill that into 6 things, we found that precision was what we focused on. We always want to be hitting the right spot at the right time. Accuracy, always about hitting that right spot. Strength, whenever we do something, we want it to have an impact and a lasting impact. And well, I'll just deal with these few right now. And value, which was our big thing at when we started this company, is that we always want whosoever our client is to leave feeling satisfied. We always have to hit both the stated and unstated needs so that they can be fulfilled in whatever it is that we're looking for. And we find that those are the keys towards creating lasting relationships in our clients.
When these 3 threads, these 3 amazing minds that make up that Drum Data Limited, are not necessarily woven into this one rope, right? Mm-hmm. Who brings it together, or what brings it together?
The who would undoubtedly be me. The what is still wrong.
Oh boy. let me go to the chat room quickly because time is creeping up on us. Barry said, man is easy to listen to and articulate, one love. Tell us how you get clients.
How we get clients, very, very quickly. We do 2 things actually. Clients come from our database of people from where we teach. 2 of us teach at the University of the West Indies. So we tend to get clients from our network there. As well as I have been working extensively with NGOs and donor agencies for a long time. And so they still come to us for those pieces of work. And then thirdly, we tend to drop off brochures or little pamphlets about what it is, who we are and what we do in agencies that we're aiming or we're targeting.
Mm-hmm. And Karen says, Jamaica is fortunate. We should bring him to Guyana.
I hear that's in the works, Selwyn.
Yes, in
I
the
don't
works.
know.
It's in the works. How can the government or private sector help young entrepreneurs to get to the next level?
And that's a difficult question to answer for the Caribbean, but for Jamaica,
For Jamaica.
I think for Jamaica, where I see things at currently is we still need resources, hand-holding, resources meaning financial resources, hand-holding and some degree, and hand-holding meaning that guidance and that space where you can feel like you can fail. A lot of Jamaican culture does not allow for failure. And what you find is for an entrepreneur, there has to be some amount of failure. And once you can get rid of the idea that failure means that you stop, failure means that you quit, failure means that you can't, it cannot work. Not that failure means you need to try again or that there's a lesson for you to learn. Once you cannot position failure within a context of positive reinforcement, entrepreneurship will never work. But when you have come to a place where you have a kind of framework that allows someone to fail, to learn from their failure, and to get up and go again, then you'll find entrepreneurship really manifesting into what it needs to be. So I would say financial resources, hand-holding, which is that creation of a framework for failure, to allow for learning from failure. And finally, market penetration.
Market what?
It has to be. Go again?
Market what?
Penetration.
Oh,
It has to be some kind of a framework that allows me to get outside of Jamaica and into external markets.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not one given too much to utopia. But if you were to describe an environment, not necessarily perfect, but an environment where there's a large population of young entrepreneurs who have the resources, and I'm asking you this question in anticipation that someone in the government or the government of Jamaica might be listening to this, or any Caribbean government, but a population or cadre of young entrepreneurs who have the right resources, the right hand-holding, and the right market penetration. Describe a Jamaica for me with that.
I think that kind of a Jamaica would see, one, we would finally begin to realize the power of the middle class. Two, I also think our voting processes and the entire thing of politics and how our political structure is, would begin to see the kind of changes that we've been looking forward to for the last couple of years. Because what you'd find is the people who are stepping into entrepreneurship are the people who would want the greatest change for the nation. So there's a correlation there. And I think if those people were empowered to have control over the necessary means of production, in a manner that you describe in that kind of utopian kind of society, I think you'd see social and political change much unlike we've ever seen before.
Wow. If you, Doyen, could turn back the hands of time to when you just started, what would you do differently?
Oh, wow. That's a list of things that extends. but if I were to pick one thing, I think I would use the word focus. When we first started that drum, us three, none of the three of us were really focused because we thought it would have been very, very easy to do. And we thought ourselves young geniuses. So we weren't entirely focused on the business. And for that sake, the business for a long time stayed stagnant. But as soon as we began to really put our energies into it, as soon as we began to really decide that no. In this case, we are the masters of our own destiny, and really began to work on that, then the business began to grow.
One last question, right? Apart from the the spirit, the brown gravy or whatever color rum you guys drink, what what keeps you guys together?
Years and years and years of friendship.
Ah,
Years of seeing the best, and to be quite honest, years of seeing the worst of each other, and being able to go through that. So it's years and years of friendship.
Doyen, thank you, brother, and thank you for having the will to use what you have where you are. Thank you.
Thank you much. Thanks much, Selvin.
You're welcome, brother. Take care.
All right, we talk again. Bye bye.
Of course. Bye.